Hi guys. As you probably know, if you're on this video, Tops are coming out with a new kit for the new Premier League season. My name is Ning, and I've been playing for almost a year, so I'm going to try to talk to you about 4 things today. MLS values coming into the new season, the new Premier League cards and trading for them, and in general, how to value your cards and the best ways to trade on the game. First thing to remember with MLS is that always trade up. The best things to trade on are the rarest things, because things like blue signatures and on-forms, they have very high counts, 750 or 800 count. And the problem with that is you have about 650 people at any one time trying to trade the same thing. The good thing about variants like these, especially the the lower count ones, 150 ones, is that especially because of duplicates, you're only going to have about 100 people owning the card, so there aren't going to be that many on the market. Variants, in my opinion, are the best things to own. If you can own cards like Besler and McCarthy, they're going to be amazing to transfer for BPL things. The other thing to own, in my opinion, is MLS mints. By the end of today, there'll be 8 mints out. And that means that only 2 weeks until the mint award, which means that it's going to happen at the same time as the Premier League's been out for a couple of weeks. That means you're going to be able to trade your mints for early Premier League limiteds like signatures and the marathon sets that you want. This is important because when it comes to the end of the marathon awards, everyone tries to trade for it because they realize that they can finish theirs. So things to earn that are good, I would say Diaz and Nagby because they're 250 counts and that's very low. One thing to keep in mind though is that I think the mint today is going to end up at about maybe a 250 count, but the next two are going to be very low because no one's going to want to purchase MLS mint packs, they're going to want to purchase the BPL SIG packs, say. So I could see them being anywhere from 100 to 200 counts, but not much more. So be wary of that if you're trying to collect the MLS mint set. Personally, I don't think MLS awards are going to hold that much sway. Maybe if they're good cards, say the Steampunk PLO that's about to come out, or a Kaka award, like something else. They might hold sway, but I don't think anything else will. Relics. I think relics are going to maintain value. They're a marathon set. Cards like Kaka and Gonzalez are still going to be expensive towards the end, and they're good things to hold. On forms, I don't think will hold much sway. People who chase, the top 20, your Tubics, your Atzeroses, they already have all the chasing cards they need. They are not going to be looking for more Giovinco cards or Fehlhaber cards, especially not at only a 2.2 times boost. And that means that when it comes to it, I don't think there's going to be that much demand for on-forms in the future, especially not MLS ones. So they would not be the things that I would hold. Again, I would try to trade up. Blue signatures will maintain value. Cards like Manair and McCarthy will maintain value as they're a marathon set, but again, if you're holding on to them, it would be better to trade for variants, particularly if you're going to want to hold BPL by the end of it. On to Premier League 16. If it was me, and it will be me, I'm not going to be spending my coins in the first week. If you've read this, it says that they're coming out with a special set of base to chase with that will end up being limited in the future. Now, the amount of people that are going to be pulling those, there's going to be no real value to holding them in the long run. There's going to have a massive value at the start as everyone tries to switch for BPL, nothing in the long run. So if it was me, I'm going to save most of my coins for when the first limiteds start to roll out. They're going to be the things you want to be pulling. The other thing to remember is that if you're trading for Premier League, I would wait. In your first week, everyone's going to try to trade for Premier League. Literally every MLS card will be on the market for some form of Premier League card. So there is no point in trying to trade because you'll end up selling at a very, very low price. And in a couple of weeks, my guess is that the MLS stuff will rebound slightly. Not massively, but enough that you could end up doubling what you'd get otherwise. So I'm going to wait 2 or 3 weeks. Another thing to think about is if you're pulling Premier League stuff, it might be worth trading for the top-end MLS stuff to then sell on in 2 or 3 weeks' time. But don't go selling it. And now I'm on to the portion where I'm going to talk to you about how I value cards. Ever since I've started the game, the way I've done it is I would think of every card in your average signature worth, no matter what it was, no matter any of these cards, in the average signature worth. So now that will be in MLS Blue 6. The way I do it is I'll look at a card, take this Alonso I have 2. Varane Alonso is worth about 3 or 4 Blue 6 at this point in time. Now I'm going to take another card, say my McCarthy Varane. McCarthy Varane is probably worth 5 or 6 blue SIGs in comparison to the Alonso. So I know if I'm trading my Alonso, I'm going to have to add about 2 SIGs worth to get to McCarthy SIG. So what you can do from there is, if you know everything's count in blue sig, it doesn't matter what you're trading, you will have an inherent value system in your head. So from there you can go, well, I think that, say this Xmas Xhaka is worth, Chaka even, is worth 3 or 4 blue sigs. That means that I'm probably going to have to end up trading a variant for him. And that may or may not be his value. That's for you to decide. The other thing to remember is, for new cards, they're always more expensive on the day they come out because the demand is massive and the supply is low. So wait until the last possible moment you want to get it, because there's always going to be more supply in the future and probably less demand. The best way to gauge it and to gauge the value of a card is to go, I think there's going to be this much demand. You look in the article, you look on the fan feed, you see how many people are going, I want to go and find myself a on-form Sig Cazorla. Then you look at how many people are selling it. And take on-form Sig Cazorla as a good example, because there's only, right now, even though it's a 125 count, it's such an in-demand card, there are only about 5 people trying to sell their on-form Sig Cazorla. That means any demand is going to massively outweigh the supply, which means you can charge a lot for it. Other thing that I was going to talk about was how to trade. And the best thing to remember about that is, if you're sending a trade, you remember the SIG value of what you're trading for, and you want to offer just a little bit less than what you think it's worth, what you're trading for. So if I'm going to trade for a variant McCarthy, I'm going to offer, say, 5 blue SIGs, thinking that I think it's worth 6 blue SIGs. What that means is that if someone tries to counter you back, says, okay, add another blue SIG, you can add a blue SIG and you're still paying what you want. That way, you're not overpaying, and if they accept straight out, well, you're actually making a good deal. So that's how I try to trade. And the best thing to remember is, don't oversend at the start because you're overpaying, and don't undersend because you're going to get one start and blocked. And the best thing to do is just be polite in a trade. If you're polite and send a message along with it, you tend to go very far. Well, that's all I'm going to talk about today. Thank you very much for listening. If you have anything else you want to ask, feel free to 1v1 me in a trade, or I could start another video if it helps. Thank you very much. Bye.